Alright, the objective for this lesson is to be able to add and subtract integers. And at any point in this lesson, if you I'm going too fast or you didn't have enough time to write something down, please pause it and write the information down. Also, I want to remind you that if you need to write down the rules that I'm giving you and the steps that I'm giving you, and not just what I write, because I'm not going to write down everything, but you have the ability to pause. So if you hear me say something important, such as a rule or a step to follow, you need to pause the video and then write those down. Okay, so let's get started. To be able to add integers, there's a few rules that you could remember. I can also model this in class if you would like me to on a number line. Just please ask if you want me to do that for you. And so I'm just going to give you the very down and dirty version here. To add integers, okay, and I'm going to circle the ones meaning that's a positive integer, and this middle plus right here will be the addition. So a positive plus a positive equals a positive. Okay, a negative plus a negative equals a negative. Okay, and I'm going to do an example of these in just a second. The last one is this, that if you have a positive plus a negative, or if you have a negative plus a positive, okay, then you need to write this down. A positive plus a negative, or a negative plus a positive, this is the rule, okay? You take the bigger number, subtract the smaller number, and then use the sign of the bigger number. Okay, I'm going to do some examples of all of these. Positive plus a positive, positive 2 plus positive 3 equals positive 5, cut and dry. Positive 6 plus positive 8 equals positive 14. Okay, you know those already probably. How about a negative plus a negative? Well, negative 3 plus negative 2, well, that equals, you add them together, that's 5, and then they're both negative, so you get a negative 5. Or negative 1 plus negative 7, negative 1 plus negative 7 equals negative 8. And you can see how that works. Now, how about the adding a positive and a negative? Well, again, the rule was take the bigger number, subtract the smaller number, and then use the sign of the bigger number. So let's try this. 7, positive 7 plus negative 3. Well, positive 7 plus negative 3, let's see, the bigger number is 7. You're going to subtract the smaller number is 3, and then you're going to end up with the sign of the bigger number, which was 7. So it's a positive because the 7 was positive. Let's try one more. How about, let's do negative 8 plus 6. Okay, so now you have and I'm not writing the positives for these numbers because we already assume that they're positive. There's nothing written there. Negative 8 plus 6. So this is a negative plus a positive. Take the bigger number, that's 8, minus the smaller number, or subtract the smaller number, that's 6. So 8 minus 6 would be 2. And then since the 8 was negative, the 2 is going to be negative. Okay, so there's adding integers. I'm going to erase all this. Again, you should copy that down as well as write down those rules. If you didn't get a chance to, just watch it again and write those down. Okay, now, how about for subtracting integers? The rule for subtracting integers that you need to write down is to subtract integers, add the opposite. Add the opposite. As long as you can do that, you've just turned a subtraction problem into an addition problem. Let me show you what I mean. Let's do the same ones. We have a positive minus a positive. Well, we probably know how to do that, but maybe not. Let's see in a second. How about negative minus negative? Okay, and let's do, we have a positive minus a negative, and a negative minus a positive. Now, these aren't as cut and dry, but if we turn them into an addition integer or adding integers, then we can follow all the same rules as adding integers. So we're going to use the rule to subtract integers, add the opposite, and that means this. Take the subtraction sign, change it to an addition sign, and then the next number after that, make it the opposite sign. So instead of what was here, used to be was a positive minus a positive, now we're, sorry, a positive, I said it right, positive minus a positive. What we now have is positive plus a negative, because we've changed this to now a negative. Okay, let's do the next one. A negative minus a negative, or subtract a negative. So we're going to add the opposite. We change this to addition, and the opposite of a negative number is a positive number. Moving on. Positive, subtract a negative, we add the opposite. Now we've just made it a positive plus a positive. And last but not least, negative minus positive, we again add the opposite and change this to a negative sign here. So let's do a few examples of those. 5 minus 8. Okay, 5 minus 8, positive minus a positive. Well, these are subtracting integers. We're going to add the opposite. Now, the rule that we learned, if we have a positive and negative integer and we're adding them, is to take the larger number, subtract the smaller number, and use the sign of the larger number. So 8 minus 5 equals 3. And then, since the 8 was a larger number and the 8 was negative, this answer is going to be a negative 3. Let's try a negative, let's see, a negative 9 minus a negative 2. Well, we have subtracting integers. We're going to add the opposite. So we're going to make minus negative 2 into plus positive 2. And then we're going to take negative, or the larger number, because this is a negative, this is a positive. They're opposite signs. The larger number minus the smaller number, that gives us 7. And then the sign of the original larger number was negative, so it's going to be, can't see it, negative 7. All right, 2 more. We have a positive 4, and then let's do minus negative 5. Add the opposite. 4 plus positive 5, we know that to be 9. And last but not least, I believe we have, let's see, negative 2 minus, let's do positive 1. So we're going to add the opposite of positive 1 is negative 1. So we have negative plus a negative. We learned from before that gives you, you add them together. Negative 2 plus negative 1 is negative 3. Same sign, 2 and 1 is 3. They're both negative, so it's negative 3. Okay, so that is basically how to add and subtract integers. I'm going to let you decide what a summary is here, and try to condense that if you can into maybe 1 or 2 sentences, or maybe a chart or something like that for your notes. Thank you for watching.